Brewdog, Fake Empire.
Life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. Got one here from Brewdog and it's called Fake Empire. If ever there was an aptly named beer, it could be this. Now, before we begin, I just want to make a few things clear. I'm not the biggest fan of Brewdog. And if you've seen my video on the equity for punks, if you've seen that, then you'll sort of understand where I'm coming from. And for them to call a beer a Fake Empire, or to call it Fake Empire, I don't know, I just think that's pretty prophetic. Now, if you look at, just to go in a little bit about Brewdog, you know, Brewdog, you can't take this away. They did kickstart the craft beer revolution in the United Kingdom with Punk IPA. That's a fact. And they're from Scotland. And, you know, when they first started off, they were brewing some absolutely amazing beer. They opened up their own pubs. And they really stuck it to all the macro brewers that were around at the time, producing very, very mediocre beer. But they've since, I don't know, how can you put it? They've since turned into something that it's a little bit unsavoury. They've taken that sort of DIY approach, you know, the punk approach, if you like, and they've become pretty much what they've set out not to be. You know, there's lots of stories out there about, you know, especially in America, with, you know, stealing other people's ideas, getting people interviewed, you know, for jobs that don't exist, and, you know, stealing their, you know, they're giving them tasks to come up with, you know, more productive ways that they can make money for Brewdog. And then, of course, the job never materialised. They've stolen their ideas, and they've, you know, they've all signed non-disclosure agreements and stuff like that. And then you've got the valuation of their company. Now, I don't know whether you've ever watched Dragon's Den, or in the United States they call it Shark Tank. But if somebody came along, and I think it's 240 million they're valuing their company at now. I think Peter Jones may pick that apart, and they might realise that actually it is not worth that much. You know, 240 million for a craft brewer. Now, Brewdog are quite big. I'm not, you know, everything I say here is allegedly. I have no real evidence to back up the equity for, well, I have. No, that's a lie. Everything I said about the equity for punks was true. So if you look at that video, that is a fact. You know, everything I put in there, apart from some little caveats which I wasn't too sure about, but that basically is a very, very expensive membership scheme. And it's fine. As one subscriber pointed out on the comments to me, you know, if you're using Brewdog all the time, yeah, it's good. But, you know, to get your money's worth, you would have to not go in any other pubs apart from Brewdog pubs. And it's just an encouragement for you to spend money. So you're sort of chasing good money after bad and never getting back your return. And of course, they're B shares, as I explained on the video. And I don't know, the whole thing just leaves a nasty taste in my mouth. And there's other stories as well about their lawyers suing people for using the word punk, which they blamed on the lawyers, Brewdog, not on them. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But you have to take their word for it. But either way, it just leaves a fucking horrible taste in the mouth, you know, if they're that precious about their name. And you look at the two, I doubt they were even punks in their life. Now, I used to be a punk years ago, and I make no bones about it, but I don't fucking harp on about it like they do. You know, they're using punk ethics and all that. He studied fucking economics at a fucking university, for Christ's sake. Anyway, shut the fuck up, and let's concentrate on this beer. I don't want to bash Brewdog. Well, no, that's a lie. I don't want to bash the beer if it's good. And it looks quite an interesting beer. So, let's stop having a rant about Brewdog and let's just concentrate on this beer that they've come up with. Right, it's called Fake Empire. Aptly named in my opinion, but that's just my opinion. Why I picked this up, it was in Morrison's, it cost £3 a can. And it's a 440ml can. But what I sort of got me on the hook, they said it's a sour, hazy IPA. Now, I like sour beer. That is a fact. I make no bones about that. And if you look at a lot of the reviews of the Lambics, of the Berliner Weisses, of the South, you know, the red ale and all that, I absolutely love sour beer. So that's what hooked me. And it's an IPA as well. Now, IPAs, everybody's brewing an IPA at the moment. It's just, you know, it's got to that stage where this is the big trend now, which is fair enough. You know, if people want to do that, then fine. Personally, I think there's there's not enough hours in your life to drink all the IPAs that are on the market now. And Brewdog do their fair share of it, but this is their sour hazy IPA, fiercely defiant. Well, they covered that up. United we stand. Oh, fuck off. And it's 6.2%. It's 440ml, and on the side it's got the Empire Strikes Fruit. So you can imagine that that's probably a boardroom battle. Somebody wanted to call it the Empire Strikes Fruit, and someone wanted to call it Fake Empire. I know what I'd have called it. But there you go. There you go. A little bit about what's in the beer. Now, sour beer. I'll give you a quick explanation of what's on sour beer. They use a different type of yeast, and it's called Brettanomyces or something. I think that's how it's pronounced. Brettanomyces or something like that. Anyway, and that is a strain of yeast. When of course yeast does influence the taste of a beer. You can have exactly the same ingredients, use a different strain of yeast, and get a completely different taste on the beer. Okay, and this Brettanomyces is renowned for its giving the beer sourness. Now, Belgian brewers use it, and they also use lactic acid or lactobacillus, and they also use wild fermentation as well, which is, you know, the bacteria that is in the air, and you know, that's what gives lambic its sourness. This stuff has just got the Brettanomyces, but it's also got lactic acid in it as well. So that's going to be sour. What's unusual, they put lactose in it. Now, I don't know why they put lactose in it. Lactose effectively is milk or milk sugar. So that's a weird one. And you've got the hops in there that, you know, they've got Citra, Cascade and Mosaic, all classic IPA hops or American IPA hops. It doesn't say what type of IPA is, but with them, you know, Citra, Cascade and Mosaic, you know, that's going to be some sort of American take on the, you know, the IPA style. The malts are quite interesting. They've got Carapils in there, which of course Carapils is renowned for its head retention. You've got oats, not unusual in an IPA, an American style IPA anyway. You've got pale malt. I imagine that is the, you know, the base malt that they've used on here. They've got Pilsner, Vienna malt, and they've got Carahel, which is a German style malt, which, as the name suggests, it's a light coloured malt that's used in Helles or lagers. So there you go. I said it was 6.2%. The IPUs on this, the IBUs are 11. So that is actually quite sweet. Now, sweet beer will have a very low IBU, as you know, international bittering units. If it's low towards 0, that's going to mean it's on the sweeter end. But sweet, that shouldn't lull you into a false sense of security thinking that it's sweet, because on paper, yeah, you think IBUs. I think Hefeweizen is up in the sort of late teens, and that's quite a sweet beer. But it's all to do with the yeast. I can't emphasise how much yeast has an effect on beer, on the taste of the beer, and you know, just how it reacts. So anyway, let's shut up about that. Let's get it open and let's get it checked out. Right, here we fucking go. Now, if anyone's going to get in the ump about me wearing a West Ham top, well, that is just tough shit. Stick your complaints on a fiver and email it to your arsehole. What are we getting on the nose? Sour grapefruit. And the grapefruit is quite strong on that. I have to say the head isn't bad. That's probably down to the oats and the that carapils. But yeah, it's like a sort of a West Coast from what I'm getting. That grapefruit citrus is just big, but there is a slight sourness to it. As you can see, it's quite hazy. One finger foamy white head. I'll give it a little bit more of a top up there. Now, everything I've said about Brewdog, if this beer is good, I'll tell you if it's good. If it's shit, obviously I will tell you if it's shit. But I'm not going to let, you know, the dodgy ethics of this company. It's, you know, it's like music. There's bands that I fucking don't like at all, as people. You know, when I was in the band, there was a couple of punk bands that we supported who were quite big, almost, I wouldn't say household names, but very well known indeed. And they turned out to be absolute fucking dickheads. But I still like their music. You know, it's that old saying, never meet your heroes. But one particular band, I'm not going to go into who they are, but they acted like complete and utter, well, there's actually two bands, but one in particular acted like complete and utter fucking arseholes. I don't like them, but I still listen to the music. And it's the same with beer. You know, I don't know what Brewdog do, but if the beer's good, I'll tell you whether it's good. So, let's shut up and let's get it tasted. Bottoms up. It isn't too bad, but the sourness isn't as big as I thought it was going to be. It just tastes like a like a New England IPA with a lot more grapefruit on the top of it than is usual. Now with New England IPAs you normally get big mango, big peach, sometimes orangey flavours, but with this I'm getting peach definitely and I'm getting orange, but the grapefruit is really big. But the sourness, no, I'm not really getting it. There's quite a malty back end on it though. There is, I can definitely get that biscuit malt, and with all them malts that they've put in there, including the, you know, the oats as well, I would have been surprised if I hadn't have got that. But it isn't bad. It's attempting to leave a sour finish, but it's just been overpowered by that orange, and the orange is quite sweet. Now a reviewer is convinced that no hops can give you such a sweet flavour on their own, and that there's orange juice being added in and stuff like that. And to be honest, on some of them cheaper beers it does really taste like that. You know, they've just thrown in a load of orange concentrate in there, and you can really taste it. With these type of beers, I don't know, I have no evidence. It doesn't say it on the ingredients. They're not compelled to say that, you know, what they've put into it. But this is exceptionally sweet in the orange department, which is killing any sort of sourness. Having said that, it isn't the worst beer in the world, but I was expecting more sourness from it. And what I'm getting instead of the sourness is a sweetness from the orange and quite a malty back end. And there's bitter grapefruit on there too, which does come through in the flavour. On the aroma, I mean, there's absolutely no orange on the, not that I'm getting anyway. It's all sort of bitter grapefruit, and the merest hint, I can smell more sourness than I can actually taste. That orange in there is just so sweet, and that's ruined any sourness. And when I said, you know, they've made me look a complete cunt, because I said in the IBUs, it's no indication of, you know, the sweetness of a beer. And there they go, proving me wrong. What the fuck do I know about beer? But of course, bitter and sourness doesn't equate, or it shouldn't do anyway. It's all about the bitterness on a beer. Bitter and sour are two completely different tastes. So, you know, that's why I thought there was going to be a lot of sourness, but of course sourness doesn't equate to bitterness. But, you know, oh, actually, I am getting some of that orange now. You know, I've given that a proper swirl now, and that really is coming through now. But do you know what? The more I drink, the sweeter it's getting. And it really does taste like an artificial type orange. It's drinkable, but I was not expecting this amount of sweetness. If I had just said Hazy IPA, I probably wouldn't have bought it. But because it had the sour on there, that hooked me in. But I'm not getting any of that sourness at all. It's very, very sweet. But, you know, I'm saying it's sweet, but it's also got that malty finish on it too. The sourness is really hard to detect. It is there, but it's not in your face. I was expecting lambic type sour, you know, Grand Cru type sour, Flemish red ale, that type of thing. Gers maybe, or Hooser. Someone told me that it's not pronounced Hooser. No, nobody pronounces it Hooser. But a Flemish barman, I tried to say Gers, has he got any Gers? This was in Bruges. He didn't know what the fuck I was talking about, and he pronounced it Hooser. So, what do I know? Yeah, but there's none of that, you know, that level of sourness in there at all. Bit disappointed, if truth be told. So what's the verdict on this? Well, aside from anything Brewdog do, I don't care who made this, if they'd have said, call this a sour hazy IPA, you know, I think you're really overstretching it on the sourness. Maybe it's my palate, I was expecting a hell of a lot more, and I've been disappointed, but that is really, really sweet. Orangey sweet, that's all I'm getting. And there's peach on that as well, but on the aroma, it smells really bitter. But no, not massively impressed. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. And I'm going to recommend it if you like New England IPAs. If you like sour beers and you're buying it for the sourness, don't fucking bother. It really isn't there. You really have to struggle to get the sourness in there. There is a little bit, don't get me wrong, but there's more malt and there's more sweetness than there is sourness. So there you go. So I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. I'm going to recommend it with caution, only if you like sweet New England IPAs with a touch of grapefruit bitterness on them. And yeah, maybe I will not make that mistake again. So there you go. And remember, beer is working class champagne.